Last time on the Miitopia Hardcore Nuzlocke, Geo and his team fought through the spooky forest of darkness, the dry desert of Genie Land, and the completely normal kingdom of robots, only to perish against Dark Lord Robotnik's Purgatory Pup. The last video isn't a direct prequel to this one, but I do recommend watching it before this, because frankly, I don't think it's going to be worth it to spend 30 minutes of this video talking about the same things as last time. Instead, we are diving into a parallel universe, where Geo was slightly more competent and managed to make his way into the underworld without dying immediately. But of course, with a new challenge comes a new cast, so let me introduce them. First up is Kotone, a kind warrior who joined the party in search of her lost friend Aegis, who disappeared shortly after the Dark Lord Robotnik took on his true form, that of Dark Lord Megamind. Joined by Toph, the cool warrior on a quest for glory, and Hatsune Miku, the energetic warrior who seeks fame, Geo and his team fought against Megamind. We saved the king, saved Lyn, and saved Princess Lucina, and then end up completely saving the kingdom from Megamind's dark presence. Megamind managed to imprison the three warriors, yet Geo managed to escape, moving on to liberate the Sand Kingdom. In Tatooine, Geo gains new friends. First is Jay, the stubborn warrior, who was on a search to discover what happened to her old friend. Followed shortly is Pyra, the kind warrior, and then last Kyoko, the cool warrior. Are you noticing the theme here? Yeah, I decided to go for a team of all warriors because, frankly, I think it's the best class in the game. Plus, it allows everyone to use the same weapons, meaning when there's one good item on the roulette, everyone benefits, as long as I have enough game tickets. We reform a genie, blow up a pyramid, and once again chase Dark Lord Megamind back. And of course, the team is captured, leaving Geo to make a new squad of friendos in the Elf Forest. Here we are joined by the noble Lyn, who decided to leave behind her old life of cowardice and join us as a cool warrior, and we press on. Two other brave soldiers join the team, Honnet and May, but while trying to save the elven people, they end up perishing to the Dark Lord's minions. While things look dire for the team, Geo and Lyn still manage to push through the pain of the fallen friends and save the town. Yet Lyn and our two ghost comrades are once again stolen away, leaving Geo as he enters the Inferno. Blessedly, while wandering the wasteland, Geo meets up with the great sage Technoblade, and the two set off to save Geo's lost companions. And with that, the recap is done. Time to jump back into the story. Kyoko is the first to be rescued, as Magma Kyoko can only do single-digit damage to Geo, while we manage to dish out nearly 100 damage per turn. This also helps showcase one of the warrior's strengths. Despite having really poor magical defense and speed, their physical defense, HP, and attack are through the roof. Food can be used to patch the weaknesses, and with Geo already having a gear advantage, the early areas of Fireville prove to be completely harmless. Miku proves equally easy to save, and suddenly our team is back up to nearly full power. After a fair bit of gambling, we also manage to save Ghost Honnet, and while she can't help us directly, the emotional support of our fallen friend is still nice to have. Then it's cave time. This is the spot that ended my last run, but I'm feeling a bit better about this attempt. The party is split, with Geo and Techno in one team, and Kyoko and Miku in the other. The team with Geo and Techno is, of course, no real problem, with Geo's insane amount of HP and firepower sweeping through the area. However, for the two girls, I'm a bit less confident in their intrinsic ability to live. So I decide to spend over 15 minutes pumping these two with every outing ticket I've accumulated. With their complete devotion to one another stronger than a roll of flex tape, I finally trust them to proceed through the dungeon. With two soldiers, the flame mummies are much less spooky, and with the power of platonic handholding, the two make it back to the main party. The Nether Mutt is next, and while the Hound hits hard, our band beats up the Beagle better. Like most fights in the game, it's simply a matter of using the safe spot wisely. But with the fight done, Techno decides to take his leave, and our friends Toph and Pyra, as well as the ghost of a 10-year-old Pokemon trainer, join us. Then, it's on to the Dark Lord's castle. Things get tricky again once our team is again split up. And to make things even spicier than a smoothie made of Tabasco sauce, both teams will be forced into a boss fight before moving forward. And to add one last drop of fear, Kyoko and Miku have been separated, meaning we can't rely on their platonic date night powers to save us. Team Alpha, consisting of Gio, Miku, and Pyra, start off the adventure. After murdering some imps, they find Jay, whose face has been repurposed by a demon. Luckily, said demon chose to use melee attacks instead of magic, and thanks to her extremely expensive armor, physical attacks are about as effective as using a baseball bat against a swarm of bees. The fight lasts a long while, but eventually the demon falls, giving Jay back her face and completing their half of the loop. Heading over to Team Delta, Toph and Kyoko alone must somehow take down a boss. Oh boy. I spend a few new outing tickets on the duo, but their friendship doesn't even rival the Kyo-Miku dynamic. There are a few close calls, but eventually they find Lyn, whose face has been turned into a portrait of Megamind. Blessedly, the fight isn't nearly as challenging as the demon duel, and by leapfrogging the duo in and out of the safe spot, they manage to safely destroy a fine work of art, bringing Lyn back to her face. We celebrate the victory with more gambling, and the party reunites. With 7 of our 8 team members saved, there's only one way forward. But first, let's go back for some treasure. While looting, we run into a fiend, so I employ my ultimate strategy of running away quicker than my high school crush ran after my confession. After a gauntlet of monsters, we find our final team member, Kotone, whose face has been stolen by a dripped-out lava bubble. We take down the lava bubble's friends first, then slap the Magma Man around until it gives up the ghost. With Kotone free, our team is complete, and all that's left is to slay a dragon and fight an evil warlock. With the dragon easily slain by the power of Platonic Yuri, it's time to face Megamind once and for all. I do some last-minute preparations, build up my team's friendship even further, and bring the team of Gio, Kyoko, Miku, and Kotone to face the alien. Yeah, turns out with the power of safe spots, pincer strikes, and completely platonic makeout sessions, the Dark Lord can be easily bested. Of course, since it would be too anticlimactic for this to be the ending of the challenge, the Dark Curse decides to pull the Mario Gambit, ditching its old Yoshi of a host and cap throwing onto a boss. It first tries to get Geo, but the great Technoblade pulls a Mr. President Get Down scheme to counter the Mario Gambit, having himself get inspirited in Geo's place. The Dark Lord Technoblade flies away, deciding that now is not the time to strike, but rather prepare the army. We try to give chase, but are no match for Techno's speed. We end up asking around town for tips on where the Darker Lord's castle is, and in exchange are given a load of side quests that need to be done before we learn anything new. So, a side questing we go. I'll be completely honest with you guys, the Peculia and Snow Mountain segments of this run are very boring. And so, for the sake of saving my time and yours, let's just jump straight into Nimbus Kingdom. Here, we are on our final side quest to save someone from a boss monster, hoping to get a lead on where Techno has gone. Why does this place suddenly become interesting? Well, Gio's finally reached the level where he can pull a Don't Starve and go for the eyes. With the most powerful skill in the game learned, any enemy with the eye to see will be blinded faster than Gandhi would be blinded in a mustard gas factory from the 1920s. It's also worth noting that I've been leveling up the whole team lately rather than relying on a single 4-man squad like I normally do, which will be important later. There are a few close calls as our expedition into the clouds continue, but with our team reaching level 20 all around, and our team slowly consuming the flesh of the monsters we've slain, we make it through our trials, with the power of platonically staring deep into the eyes of our roommates and imagining a potential future with them. We easily destroy a living UFO, discover the Tower of Techno, and then set off to do even more side quests. Searching for the magical gem key things, we start by slaying some snowmen, then face down the Ice Queen. Her high elemental attack is reasonably spooky, but with our team's giant HP stat and the power of a safe spot, we manage to outmaneuver the enemy and take the dub. Pyra becomes sick over and over again. We discover pocket dimensions exist, and we continue to gamble for royal EXP potions, most of which are funneled into Gio's Golem, making him stronger and stronger. This is because Roulette XP isn't a set amount, but rather it's based on a percentage of the Mii's current level, making it most efficient to give to a high level Mii. With the power of platonic gambling, fighting the dog bubble proves to be super easy, and we reunite a One Piece character with their pet dog, which I'm sure is something that happens in the show at some point. Before continuing on to the next story side quest, I get distracted by an old friend, GI Robot, who managed to escape his fate of imprisonment after we defeated Megamind, is now doing his best Luigi's Mansion impression and asks us to help him bust the ghosts out of his mansion. We help him out for old time's sake and are paid for our service by unlocking the vampire job, which is arguably the best job in the game, but is also one we won't be using for this challenge, since equipping it now would mean dropping our level back down to 1, wasting loads of our limited XP. Last up, we reach the Cloud Factory, where the Darker Lord makes mechanical monsters to fuel his army, as we've driven the natural monster population into near extinction. Luckily, we're strong enough that no foe poses any threat. Holy heck, I had no idea that scorpion monsters could one-shot us. While it's painful to see Pyra turn into a mere ghost, I do have to say that of all the units we had, Pyro was our weakest, with less levels and gear than the others. Still, her death provides a reminder that no matter how strong we get, it only takes one moment of weakness on the battlefield. For Pyra, that was getting the unlucky 10% roll. On the bright side, the Fiend Clause has now been activated, meaning that if any of my future units die to an insta-kill move, I'm allowed to bring them back with a life sprinkle. Though, if they die right after said sprinkle is placed, then they're permanently cooked. Thanks to Pyra's sacrifice, our team manages to get the final key gem needed, and we can head into the Tower of Techno. With 7 soldiers against the world, it's time to do or die. The tower is home to Orochi dragons, which are some of the most dangerous enemies our team can face, and somehow the little ice flakes are capable of dealing 40 damage a hit to Katone, which almost leads to her untimely death. But with the power of platonically getting married for tax purposes, the strength of our friendship lets us make us through the tower. We face down copies of old foes that don't really stand a chance. Megamind now in his human form tries to help us, dealing a pathetic amount of damage. That too doesn't stop us. Even Game Master Agnia, with her cruel tricks of flaunting our dead team member, isn't enough to stop us. We reach the final room, but before challenging Darker Lord Technoblade, I do one last sweep of the map, getting any treasure or gold that I've missed along the way, spending every last date ticket, every bit of food I can swallow, and every chance to gamble for greater riches. With every possible preparation made, I've come to a decision. Whether I win or lose this final fight, this is the end of my Miitopia Hardcore Nuzlocke. It's time for the final reckoning. Wait. There's one big problem. You see, in this fight, they expect you to divide your team of 10 into 3 groups. But, as you probably noticed, we only have 7 fighters. Since we're still forced to deploy our ghost friends, I decided to change their job to vampire, setting their levels back to 1 and making them as useless as I realistically can. Team Alpha consists of Lyn, Toph, and Honit's Ghost. I've specifically been training Lyn and Toph's friendship for this moment, and have fed them as much physically defensive food as possible. Team Beta consists of Miku, Kyoko, and Pyra's Ghost. They'll be facing off against the magical Sage Hand, which is perhaps our most vulnerable front. But since Kyoko and Miku are platonically in a romantic relationship with a heart level of 52, I trust that they'll be able to handle it. I've also been feeding them magic boosting foods whenever possible, which should hopefully improve their odds even further. Finally, Team Geo, consisting of Geo, Katone, and Jay, who all have solid friendship with one another. The Ghost of May rounds the squad out, and the final fight kicks off. You know what? Enough commentary. Let's just watch how the fight plays out. See you all when this is over, one way or another. And with that, Technoblade is saved from the curse. And yet, the victory wasn't without cost. Jay, in an act of self-sacrifice, died so that Kotone could live. And for the crime, we demand vengeance. Techno tells us of the poor curse's backstory, yet the reasonings don't excuse the crimes. For Jay, Pyra, May, Honnet, and many other heroes in other areas of the world, who all died trying to stop this monster. For all of those fallen soldiers, we enact justice, slaying the curse and ending its reign of terror forever. The day is saved, yet it doesn't change the fact that some of us have happier endings than others. While some in our party went on to live with the ones they loved, hailed as great heroes, others could only remain haunted by the horrors that they'd seen, and others still could only think about the loved ones they'd lost. And Geo went on to the next challenge, having saved Miitopia, but at what cost? Would he remember these friends for the rest of his life? Would he forget them in time? Only one way to possibly find out.